Well, it's my pleasure to be here this morning to celebrate this Mass with you. It's actually been several years since I've celebrated the daily television Mass here at Catholic TV. So again, it's a great pleasure to be back, to be with you, to celebrate this Mass on the Friday of the 5th week of Lent. Now, first reading in the book of Jeremiah. We have Jeremiah, the prophet, sent by God to his people, to the Hebrew people, to advise them and to warn them about their way of life, to tell them not to go off the path that the Lord has given to them. And Jeremiah finds himself being condemned by many. He says, "I hear the whispering of many, terror on every side. Denounce, let us denounce him." And then he says, and this is the sad part, "All those who were my friends are on the watch for any misstep of mine." Well, how many of us in life have been disappointed perhaps by friends, maybe relatives, maybe co-workers, who seem to try to pick apart every single thing we do, to find fault with it? In other words, we can never satisfy this person. You know, there's an old saying that a person like that is contrary. In other words, always looking for something to complain about, to catch you in, to catch you on a mistake, no matter what it may be. It's very disappointing when we run into that in life. Jeremiah ran into that as a prophet. But if you hear these words of Jeremiah, it's almost as if they were the words that Jesus himself several hundred years later would be able to say. "Denounce, let us denounce him. There's terror on every side. Those who are my friends are on the watch for any misstep of mine." Well, we know that when Jesus became a man, when God became man, the great mystery of the incarnation, as St. Paul tells us, he entered into every aspect of our lives except for sin, which means he experienced pain. We know that because of Good Friday. He experienced great disappointment. We know that because of many people he preached to. Some were his followers and turned against him. In today's gospel, we have some of the leaders of the community trying to stone him. We know that when he performed many great works, they sometimes attributed those works to an evil force or source. We know that when he cast out evil spirits from people, they said he's doing that by the power of the devil, not by the power of God. So there was some around him whom he just could not satisfy, no matter what he said, no matter what he did. In today's gospel, we have Jesus talking about that when he says to them, "Which of the works are you condemning me for?" Well, they know he's done some great things. And perhaps they know that the people are seeing these great things that he's doing and recognizing them for what they are. So now they say, "We're not condemning you for the works, but rather because of blasphemy, you're calling yourself God." Well, Jesus, we know, was the Son of God. And the people who were around him, these leaders who were now condemning him, they could not accept the fact that this is what the Messiah would be like. When Jesus came, he was not what they thought the Messiah would be. And so they were contrary to him. Nothing he could do could please them. Well, as we live our lives each and every day and go through the difficulties of life, we see the difficulties throughout the world today because of the pandemic. You know, we know that we have a God who has experienced many of the things that we are experiencing in life, particularly in the difficulties of our lives. God entered fully into the human existence except for sin, as St. Paul tells us. So at any time that perhaps we're feeling that we're abandoned by God, just think of Jesus. Think of the life that he led. Think of what he went through. Never again can human beings say, "God does not understand. God does not understand what I'm going through." Because no matter what we're going through in life, particularly the difficulties of life, Jesus went through those same things. All we have to do is read the gospel, the whole gospel story. And his mother went through difficulties too. The very mother of God. She did not escape the difficulties of life. So let's ask God for the grace that we need each and every day, particularly during this Lenten season, and particularly during this difficult time with the pandemic in our own community, our nation, and throughout the world. Let's ask God for the grace that we need each and every day to recognize that no matter what situation we may be in, that God is still present to us. And even though people all around us perhaps are going against us, people who may have been our friends, let us know God experienced that too. And what is important is that God is still with us. The season of Lent is a time for us to reflect upon our relationship with God. Let us always realize that God keeps that relationship with us, no matter what the situation may be in life and how difficult things may seem for us.